Paranormal Investigations. It is a bright, sunshiny day. We are getting to my favorite time of the year, which is the fall, which means we're going to have Halloween coming up, and the leaves will be changing on the trees, falling off the trees, giving us more visibility into the woods on our boots on the ground, so this should get pretty interesting. I want to thank you all so much for your support, guys. We are growing at a huge rate. We are all so humbled and blessed. The moderators keep talking about how wonderful our subscribers are, and it's great to be here with a family where we can have fun. We all listen to one another, and we try to keep all the attacks out of it. But we just want to thank you guys for being here and for your support, and for the ones that donate, that hit the like button, everybody that comments. It all matters so much. And if you don't mind, guys, let's try something new this month. Share this out to your social media platform, if it's Facebook or whatever, and let's try to grow this channel, guys. Share us out everywhere. Alright, guys, I got a good Dogman encounter for you. I think y'all are going to really enjoy. It's not a good one, though. I am going to tell you that. It's a sad one, and so a little caution, but let's get into this one. Our neighbor, who was older than us, started telling us that she had been seeing something strange behind her house at night. When we asked her what it was, she said it was a creature that was part dog and part man. She claimed it didn't come every night, but every now and then it would appear and steal the scraps she left out for her pet pot-bellied pig. We were skeptical at first. At first she told us that the creature would only eat after the outdoor light had turned off. But then it started getting bolder and would chase her pet pig away from the scraps. She said she didn't care at first because she didn't want to make it angry with her. She seemed genuinely afraid of what might happen if she confronted it. But one morning she woke up and her pig had scratches down its sides and one ear half ripped off or bitten off. That's when she knew she had to do something. She couldn't just sit back and let this happen. This thing hurt her beloved pet. She told us that she was terrified, but she tried to stay calm and think of a plan. She started by bringing the pig's food inside and securing the yard, hoping to prevent another encounter. But she couldn't shake the feeling that the creature was still out there, watching and waiting. And then she started noticing strange footprints around the house. She told us that she thought it was after her pig, so she was keeping the pig inside. One night around 1 a.m., we was in bed when we heard her yelling for help. Her name was Miss White. We seen she had her back floodlights on. Then we heard gunshots. I ran to her house to help her, and she was crying. She said it grabbed her pig while she let it out to potty and jumped the fence with him and ran off into the woods. She took a few shots at it with her .22 pistol. I was in shock as I tried to comfort Miss White. She was hysterical, repeating, "It took my baby. It took my baby," over and over, hysterically crying. I tried to calm her down, asking her if she was okay, but she just kept saying I should have never let him out. I should have never let him out. The sound of the gunshot still echoed in my mind as I looked around and saw the fence was broken completely in half, and there were scratches on the ground leading into the woods. I knew then that the creature was real, and it was more aggressive than what I had even thought. Miss White grabbed my arm and begged me to help her find her pig and to get it back. Without hesitation, I agreed, and we set out into the woods determined to track down this creature that I first thought could possibly be a wild dog or a coyote, and to rescue her beloved pet. She handed me her .22 pistol as we went into the woods. We couldn't find the creature. I gave her my number and told her to call if she needed me, and that I would help her look in the morning. She called the police, and, well, they did not care. They took the report and laughed at her when she mentioned Dogman, and I even seen her cry with embarrassment. I felt a surge of anger and frustration as Miss White told me about the police's response. How could they not take her seriously? She was clearly distraught and genuinely believed that her pet had been taken by something unusual. I tried to reassure her that I believed her and that we would do everything we could to find her pet pig. But the encounter with the police had left her feeling defeated and humiliated as I walked back home. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were dealing with something truly evil. The fact that the police didn't believe her made me wonder if they knew more than they were letting on. I pushed the thought aside and focused on the task at hand, finding Miss White's pig and getting to the bottom of the Dogman mystery. I saw the pig's head lying on the porch, its eyes frozen in a permanent stare. She was screaming hysterically the morning she woke me. As I ran there, I saw the pig's head laying on her back porch. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The creature had left a gruesome message, and it was clear that it was not going to stop until it got what it wanted. I thought it wanted to eat the pig also. Miss White was beside herself, wailing and screaming in anguish. I tried to comfort her, but I was in shock too. I didn't know what to do or say. There was blood everywhere. The police had to be called again, but I knew they would probably just dismiss it as a wild animal attack. But I was starting to know the truth. This was no ordinary animal. This was something evil, something that was targeting Miss White and her pets. Animals don't bring the head back and leave it, they eat it. I knew then that we had to take matters into our own hands and investigate further. But I looked at the pig's head. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were in over our heads. So we called the police again, and they blamed it on wild dogs. The next morning I noticed the police and ambulance was at her house. I ran to check on her, feeling she may have had a heart attack over the stress of the situation. They wouldn't let me in the backyard. They said, "You don't want to see what happened to her. The wild dogs got her last night." I felt a wave of nausea wash over me as I realized what had happened. The police and ambulance were there, but it was too late. Miss White had been attacked and killed by the same creature that had taken her pig. The thought of her suffering the same fate as her beloved pet was too much to bear. I tried to push my way past the officers, but they held me back, their faces grim and sympathetic. "You don't want to see this," one of them repeated, shaking his head. But I knew that I had to see it for myself. I had to know what had happened to Miss White. I finally managed to break free and push my way into the backyard. And what I saw will haunt me forever. Miss White's body was laying on the ground, her eyes frozen in terror, just like her pig's. But it was what was next to her that made my blood run cold. Her head had also been removed. Her bedroom window was broken, and there was blood down the side of her house. I asked them, did it drag her out of the house? They said, "You know that we're not dealing with dogs," is what I told them. And they said, "It's a pack of wild dogs." I knew they were lying. I knew what I had seen, and I knew that Miss White had told me about the creature. It wasn't dogs that had done this, but the police just kept repeating the story, trying to convince me that it was just a wild animal attack. I knew I had to get out of there, get away from the scene, and process what I had seen. I walked away. I couldn't shake the feeling that was being watched. I looked around, and that's when I saw it. The Dogman. It was standing at the edge of the woods just beyond the police tape. It was watching me, its eyes fixed on me with an unnerving intensity. I knew then that I had to get out of there. I got sick. The world started spinning, and I vomited. I turned, and I started to walk as best as I could toward my house, not stopping until I was back home and locked inside of the safety of my own home. I couldn't shake the image of the Dogman from my mind, the way it stepped into the woods and just vanished, the way it watched me with an unblinking gaze. I was consumed by the fear and anxiety that I knew I had to get out of there. We packed our bags and left, never looking back. The city has been my refuge ever since. The sounds of cars and people are a constant reminder that I am safe, that I'm not alone. I'll never set foot in those woods again. Never tempt fate by living in the country. The Dogman may be still out there watching and waiting, but I will never give it the chance to do to me to what it did to Mrs. White. I've seen the horror that lurks in the darkness, and I'll do everything in my power to keep it at bay. That's a sad encounter. I think a lot of times people don't believe in these things because they've never witnessed one, and even the ones that do know, I think, aren't allowed to speak about it. That's a horrific story. It's very sad. It's ones that, that are sad to me to report, but they are important that we talk about them to show that these things are not your friend. This one, it sounds like, had a vendetta against her. I don't know if she maybe hit it when she shot at it, or maybe it's the fact that she did shoot at it, or maybe neither one mattered. Maybe she was just targeted for some reason. We don't understand these things. Nobody does. The more, hopefully, we study them, hopefully the more we'll learn more of their behaviors. The only behavior that I have come up with is I came up with the moon idea. As you all know, that was the thing I came up with, and I believe the moon phases have a lot to do with it, and I'm going to stick with that. It seems to be more and more true. I want to thank each and every one of you for listening to this, and if you don't mind, reach down, hit that like button, guys. It helps so much. Just takes a second, and it makes such a big difference. I look forward to seeing your comments, guys. Thank you so much for your support, and don't forget, this Thursday night we're going boots on the ground. It's going to be a nighttime investigation. It'll be this Thursday night, and then Saturday we're going to do a daytime. Y'all have requested a daytime boots on the ground. It'll be at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, so come over and join us for the daytime and get to see the area we go to in the daylight. Thank you all so very much. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Keep your head on a swivel, and don't be something's dinner.